think the very first song I ever learned to play was This is the day, this is the day that the Lord has made.
That the Lord has made.
And you can imagine me playing going,
stop.
This is the day, this is the day that the Lord has made.
You gotta start somewhere.
You do got to start somewhere. Journey of 1,000 miles starts with what? One step. You got to start somewhere. All right. Well, today, first an update. Look at that stunning graphic.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that.
So we're 1 week in. I'm proud to say we're like 5. If you think as a percentage, we're like 5% there. So 2,778 raised of our goal of 50. We didn't know that we were going to start a capital campaign right when the economy was going to tank. That probably, but this is all the more proof that the Lord can get things done when worldly means seem impossible. He comes through, and so I can tell you that I signed contracts this week. So in the next few weeks, we will begin construction on new bathrooms. And that is our phase 1. And phase 1 is already funded, so it will be completed. But where we go from there will be up to whether or not we're able to raise some more funds. But we didn't feel like we could really wait. We desperately need bathrooms that are better.
Doug's only got so much bubble gum.
Yeah.
And you're out of duct tape.
So that's will be coming, and how or that may or may not be impacted by everything that's going on, and how that may or may not impact our schedule. We think the disruptions will be pretty minimal because the work will be going on mostly on the other side of the wall. There will also be some service opportunities as we clean out the space next door and get it ready to go. We'll try to make that known, but it could be next weekend or the weekend after. We'll have a day where we will need to take a lot of stuff and relocate it. So if you are healthy and able to carry things up steps, we would love to have your assistance when the time comes. So we'll try to make you all aware of that. So today, though, 8 things that coronavirus should teach us, or that it can teach us. I'm using sort of the skeleton for my talk today of an article that a guy named Mark Oden wrote, who was actually ministering in Italy. And so they were dealing with this sort of ahead of us. But I thought his words were really on point, and so I'm using his 8 points, but I'm throwing a lot of us on top of it that we can apply to what's going on here. But I think these are things that are they were really good and insightful, and I wanted to share them with you. I'll try to move quickly. When you see a sermon that's got 8 points, you're probably nervous. I am too. I don't want to be here preaching all day, but I also want to say all that I think needs to be said. So we will go through this, and hopefully at the end we'll realize that maybe this isn't all bad. Maybe there is some opportunity to be found. I would say in your bulletin there are some notes, so you don't have to write 8 things down. Remember the different scriptures we might use. It's all right here for you. There are also a couple people working to record at least the audio of this.
I just hope I have enough space to record.
Well, that'll depend on how quickly I talk to you. All right. So how are we as Christians to respond to this crisis? The short answer is with faith and not fear. We should look into the eye of the storm and ask, Lord, what are you wanting me to learn through this? Because the last thing we want to do is have a wasted experience where all we did was hide. And we didn't learn anything, we didn't grow, we didn't do anything. I think the Lord wants us active, not passive. I think He wants us proactive, not reactive. And I think there's a lot that can be learned, and there's a lot that can be done. So quickly, at least I'll do my best, 8 things that we can learn. And I think you'll agree, and maybe there'll be a lot of amens to some of these. The first thing that this is teaching us is our fragility. We are fragile. Human beings are rather weak, really. We think we're the top of the food chain, and I guess in some respects we are. We think that we're in control. We're learning that we're not. We as a country, in a world, we're reordering our lives around the danger that we cannot even see. But people will call us fools for we over our eyes around Jesus who they cannot see. We'll say, well, with a microscope you can see it. Well, I see Jesus, you don't. So it's okay. The reason that we're concerned, though, is that not just that we'll get sick. The reason that we're concerned is that our bodies are not as durable as we hope, and we're worried that we might die. All the drastic measures we're taking are because we're fragile, at least physically. In the words of the psalmist who says in Psalm 103, the life of mortals is like grass. They flourish like a flower in the field, and the wind, or a virus, blows over it, and it's gone, and its place remembers it no more. Even for believers who are strong in spirit, Paul reminds us that our bodies are what? Just jars of clay. How does this lesson of our fragility hit home? Perhaps by reminding us not to take our lives on this earth for granted. This came up in a discussion that we had yesterday. Psalm 90, verse 12 says, teach us to number our days,
Amen.
that we may gain a heart of wisdom. A heart of wisdom looks beyond the years of this life and into the depths of eternity and determines that death is a reality that must be dealt with. How we deal with it will set the course of the rest of the time that we have. I'll offer an answer that God has given us in a minute, but we only seek answers to questions that we sort of embrace as pertinent to us. And if this virus has a lot of us thinking about our own mortality and what we do about that, then I'm okay with it, because guess what? The Bible, the church, we have answers to those questions.
Come on now.
We have a hope that can be offered to people who have decided they need to number their days. Wisdom says I should look out for what comes next, because we don't end, we go on, one way or another, either with God or separate from Him in hell. That's the reality of the situation. But we are fragile and we are on the clock. This is true all the time, but the current crisis sort of has us reminded of this. Anytime we lose a loved one, we gather for funerals, these things come to the surface, don't they? But now we're sort of, as a nation, having to confront our own mortality. What do we do with it? That's the question. I have answers. We'll keep going, though.